Improvement Officer. And within 1 year of being Chief School Improvement Officer, I was appointed Superintendent of Clayton County Public Schools. And now I have been in Clayton County now in my 5th year.
That's a long history, and I know you're not 80 years old. So thank you for sharing all of that. That's quite an accomplishment. Dr. Beasley, I'm always trying to make sure that I include some information on the show about STEM education, STEM academia. But the premise of the show really is to appreciate teachers, to appreciate education. So my first question to you, since you are so involved in that Clayton County area that has a large aviation client, Delta Airlines, how does aviation and STEM fit into academia in your district?
It fits in perfectly well. As a matter of fact, since I have been superintendent, the team has been working to enhance and to develop our aviation career pathway. So now at North Clayton High School, we have an aviation program. We have our first drone middle school program. I want to say the first drone recognized middle school program in the state at North Clayton Middle School. And as we work to build our new college and career academy, aviation will be one of the programs that will serve all students in our school system. So we're constantly working to identify partners and sponsors, if you will, towards ensuring that our students have access to the litany of aviation careers. And as you well know, Lisa, there are many.
Yes.
We want our students to know whether they want to be pilots or customer service representatives, whatever they choose to be, aviation technicians, that there are tons of opportunities in that field.
I'm very excited about your drone program for middle school students. How exciting is that? I have to come by there sometime. Let me ask you this, Dr. Beasley. You mentioned the Pathway program. I'm in North Carolina. So for those in my listening audience all across the country, could you briefly give us an overview of the Pathway program there in your district?
Yes, I'd love to. We have what we call career pathways. Sometimes people may think about it as technical education or vocational education. The new term is career pathways. And basically in all of our high schools, we have identified career pathways. So any student can begin studying a career pathway, and they can study more than one career pathway. The purpose of the College and Career Academy is to enhance the pathways that we offer to all of our students, while not necessarily conflicting with the pathways that are offered at every high school. I'll just give you an idea of the various types of pathways that we offer.
Please.
For example, we may offer international business as a pathway. We may offer logistics and transportation as a pathway. We offer construction science as a pathway, which means you can learn how to build a house, do the electrical, do the wiring, do all of the skills related to building a house.
Mm-hmm. How about meteorology? Is meteorology in that pathway program?
As a matter of fact, I would say that there is a pathway, but I've not heard of meteorology.
I'm hoping it's in the aviation part. I'm going to check on that for you.
Yeah,
I'll get back to you.
We would to do that.
Okay. That's so good to hear. I love aviation. I love STEM, and for obvious reasons. We talked last night on the show about how STEM really is where a lot of the jobs are. And, of course, if you have talent in other areas, that's great. But we know that if you go to a program, a college program or a technical school program, that the jobs in a STEM area will be there for you. And so we encourage that for that reason. But let me ask you this about the pathway. Is that specifically for high school or 11th grade, 12th grade? How does that work? Do you know about that?
Yes. As a matter of fact, we start in middle school by sharing the opportunity with our students to become more informed about the pathways. So career technology starts specifically with specific courses in the middle school, but it's at the high school that they begin to take their pathways. In the 9th grade, it's our expectation that all of our 9th grade students, incoming 9th graders, begin a career pathway once they enter high school. They can, of course, take more than one pathway, but at a minimum, we want them to complete one pathway. One reason for that is we know that the grad rate for those who complete a pathway is about 95, 96%.
Is that right? Oh my goodness.
Yes, ma'am.
That's high.
If we can get kids connected to a pathway, the likelihood of them graduating from high school significantly increases.
Okay, now let me ask you this about the student population, because I'm always concerned about my community not participating. So is there diversity? Or are you in a situation where it's half and half when it comes to black and white students? What's your community like, Dr. Beasley?
We have about 70% African American, 20% Hispanic, and 10% other.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll tell you this, at our school system, Lisa, it is expected of all of our students. So you won't find a situation in Clayton County
mm-hmm.
where you walk into certain schools and black kids are relegated to certain low expectation courses and everyone else is relegated to high expectation courses.
Mm-hmm.
When we say equity, we mean equity in Clayton County.
Mm-hmm.
So our kids have access in every high school to all of these programs. And I should state this, when we say all kids, even in our school system, we expect all ninth graders to take advanced placement courses. We do not track kids based upon our adult perceptions of our children to contribute to inequities. And so, again, in Clayton County, all means all.
I like that, and I see that you're on your soapbox. I'm glad I'm not the only one that can get on the soapbox, Dr. Beasley. I hear you loud and clear, and we applaud you for that. You know that, however, we do have some inequities when it comes to education across the country, and it's good to hear what's going on. I believe you're on the south side of Atlanta, so it's good to hear what's going on in Georgia. Let me ask you this. We have a lot of students that are online, and we have a lot of students that are taking what we call a blended online learning program, either some classes face-to-face and some classes online. Obviously, we're having more students and more classes online because of the COVID year. Tell us about how the majority of your instruction is going right now.
Well, we started this year virtually, so this is our third week of school, and right now, all of our students are participating in the instructional experience virtually.
Mm-hmm.
Our teachers are providing rigorous instruction. We issue devices to our students. So right now we've got about 97% of our kids on a daily basis who
mm-hmm.
are participating in instruction. And honestly, Lisa, that's a higher attendance rate than we normally have face-to-face.
Is that right? Okay.
Yes, ma'am. We're excited about that. So we had about 40,000 laptops that we distributed to our students, while our board also approved for us to purchase about 40,000 new Chromebooks that are coming in as we speak. And so we're upgrading even as we engage and instruct virtual learning.
Dr. Beasley, let me ask you this about the virtual climate, because you may recall not too long ago there was a story about a student that was online, hijacked the online class and was showing some explicit material, and this student is being investigated. The law has been called in. And I bring this up because so many students are online, but we know that students can do some wrongdoing. Are we going to handle these problems more strongly or about the same? I was a little shocked when they said that they're going to call in, the law enforcement, and they're going to investigate this and they're going to prosecute this. I'm not sure how you reacted, but I'm interested in how you reacted. Can you comment on that?
Well, I'll tell you this. First of all, we're not going to overly penalize our children. Children will be children, and I expect adults to always be mindful of that. Secondly, we have high expectations. We have a code of conduct, but we have a process to intervene, so our teachers know exactly if something inappropriately is being done online. They know how to inform their administrators, and we have teams of individuals that may include counselors, social workers, even an SRO, who may just go and visit the house just to make sure mom and dad or guardian is aware of the situation and helping us to address the situation. But I don't believe in heavy-handed approaches when it comes to children, because we live in a society. It just seems to me that we're heavy-handed to some, but we're very slack when it comes to others, and oftentimes that goes down the line of race and income level. So I do believe in being fair, being understanding and really understanding that sometimes children just need to be redirected. So, of course, having high expectations, but also a process in place to hold them accountable, hold ourselves accountable as adults, hold them accountable, get the parent engaged, and to correct the situation and not necessarily overly penalize students for a silly decision. Now, clearly, there are some things that we've got to issue some, if you will, consequences for, but this is not new to us, Lisa.
Right, it's not. Well, cybersecurity, is it more of a problem this year, or are you handling it, addressing it more? How is that working? Do we have a problem with people hacking into the online classes, as far as you can see?
Well, I think some of our challenges have been more internal, where a kid will find the online code for another teacher's class and drop in that teacher's class. So we have an internal process to address that. And I often say to my staff, I said sometimes the kids don't even realize that when they do that now, we have a record of who they are because we know exactly who they are. So we dealt with that the first few days of school, but it seems like the kids have gotten the message. All right, we need to we can't do that and get away with it.
That's
and
awesome.
So,
that's good to
so
hear.
The teachers are responding appropriately. Administrators are, but as you well know, Lisa, our kids, smart kids. If there's an opportunity to be mischievous sometimes, some of them will take it. And so we're just prepared to respond to them in the appropriate manner.
And it's not necessarily all of it a bad thing. I mean, you got to know how to do it, right? Okay, right. I'm not encouraging it, but it's good to know that some skill sets are in place, and we're responsible for that, and that's a good thing. Let me ask you about this school year, because COVID is just lingering. Sustainability. How long are we going to be able to sustain what we're trying to do, and how big are the changes that we're trying to do? And, do you foresee some relief in sight, or, we're just pushing on?
Well, we're hopeful that we can get back to face-to-face sooner than later. We'll be presenting to our board on this coming Monday our phase-in plan to get back to face-to-face. Of course, it's grounded in the data, so we're expecting, hopefully, as the national, the state data, and our local data all trends downward, then that increases the likelihood that we can return face-to-face sooner than later. So we're hopeful in that regard, but we also understand that, we hear that the winter, the colder months may be, we may experience a surge, so we're prepared to pivot and make whatever decisions, provide instruction, whether it's virtually or face-to-face or blended. And we're asking our community to be prepared to pivot with us. So, again, we're hopeful to get back face-to-face. We believe that is the best way to educate our children, but we're prepared in the event that the data does not allow us to do that.
Okay, and as you said that you started out totally online, are you doing some blended now?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Still fully online.
You're fully online.
Our phases do acknowledge the opportunity to do blended if the data allows us to do so.
Okay, and so you're waiting to see. So as you wait to see, and I don't, want to dwell on the negatives because you've had so much positive to share with us, but I want to talk to you just a little bit about the numbers, because Georgia, the numbers haven't looked good from where I'm sitting so great. And to me, that's kind of, a little bit on the scary side. Here in North Carolina, we're doing a little bit better, but still, it takes a lot of extra effort. And so I'm wondering, do you have any teachers that are deciding that, hey, I've got to cut back, and are you having to step up as far as recruitment for teachers? I mean, how is COVID impacting you as you go forward?
We've not seen a massive slew of resignations because of COVID, because we're virtually learning right now. So many of our educators are very supportive of our platform and our process right now, our mode, if you will. If we come back face-to-face, of course, we're going to base it on the data, so we're hopeful that we'll continue to maintain their overwhelming support, and hopefully we won't see a rise or spike in resignations. We're prepared in the event that is the case, but I'm hopeful that our teachers and staff members, they really support that we're grounding our decisions in the data and concern for all involved, and they seem to be very supportive at this time, and we really listen to their feedback.
That's wonderful.
We value their feedback.
That's so good to hear. Now, let me ask you about what parents are talking about in the area. Are they happy with the service for online learning? Are they trying to, pressure you in any way to go back face to face? How is your community chiming in on this?
So far, so good. We did a survey, first week of school survey, and about a little over 80% at every level, elementary, middle, and high school, are okay with and satisfied with the virtual learning. Mm-hmm. However, I acknowledge that many of them would love to go back face to face as soon as the data tells us that it's safe to do so, mm-hmm. because we understand the impact that face to face it allows families, parents to get back to work, etc. And when they're virtually learning, we understand the constraint that puts the family under. So everyone is making the situation work as it is. But honestly, the teachers, parents, and all would love to get back face-to-face as soon as we know that the data tells us that the risk is not as high as it currently is.
That's so important. Well, Dr. Beasley, we only have a couple of minutes left, and so as you go forward and make these different changes, we hope that you'll be checking back with us. We do have a national audience, and so as superintendents, we have always to ask you for your insight on what advice are you going to give others about what you're going through? What can they learn from you? In just a couple of minutes, could you kind of sum up what's most important to share with the other school districts all across the country?
I would just say based on our success and our implementation of dealing with this COVID in Clayton, it's